What's up, guys? It's your boy. So this morning's been really awesome. It's been super encouraging. Um, Man, just spent some like a really good time in the Word this morning. Just thought I'd want to share that with you guys. Let me go grab my journal. So I was reading in 1 Corinthians chapter 15, and it's talking a lot. Man, it was just so packed. I'm gonna break it down into 2 days just so I could really, chew on what Paul was saying and the message that God really has for His people. And so, First Corinthians chapter 15, it talks a lot about the resurrection and how it's essential to the gospel, to our faith, how it's essential to um, how the resurrection basically just guarantees ours, and like it takes you through all this stuff, and it is just so packed full of like just amazing encouragement. And so I just kind of want to share with you guys a little bit about that and what it man, at the very beginning, like verse 10 really spoke to me a lot. And what it says is that I say I'm not going to quote it because I didn't write it down. I don't have my Bible out with me right now. But in the resurrection being essential to the gospel, it talks about God's grace in Paul's life, since we all know that Paul was a persecutor of the church. He even says that he is least of these apostles. He's the least of them because he persecuted the church of God. And it's talking. He says, but by God's grace, I am what I am. And I think that really goes for all of us. And later he continues on that God's grace was not ineffective for him. And that also goes for all of us as well. Like, God's grace is never, ever ineffective. And it carries on, and it's, God extended that to us. And so something I was just kind of really praying about is that we definitely don't deserve ever the grace that God has given us. And I think that's why, I know that's why God sent His Son for us, and He extended that grace. He extended life eternal. He extended a relationship with Him that was broken but then restored by Christ. Definitely choosing to die for us because He loves us so much. And that's what I just love so much about this morning, and like the time that I spent with God. Like, it was so amazing and so encouraging to know that, like, God's grace is never ineffective. It is not ineffective. Like, it is always going to carry effect. And when we read the gospel, like, I believe firmly that is what the gospel is saying. That when we extend and we share the gospel with our friends, with our family, and with anybody, like, when we share the gospel, it does not return void at all. It's never ineffective. God's grace for that person you're sharing with, it is going to come through in one way or another. And you may not see it, but or you may not see it in your lifetime, but it never returns void. And that's what I love so much about the Lord. That's what I love so much about the gospel. It was just so encouraging this morning. I thought I just definitely wanted to share this with you guys. And it talks about resurrection being essential to our faith. And like, I mean, it was a little bit of apologetics, how Paul was kind of wording it. But for the most part, like, honestly, if the resurrection never happened, if Christ never died, if that was something that just did not happen, then the whole foundation of the faith is utterly destroyed. And of course, we all know that Christ did conquer the grave. He died. He was resurrected. He raised, and that was that's why we have the solid foundation of our faith that we do. And then Christ's resurrection really just guarantees our own. And that was also really encouraging to hear. Because when Christ's death, it came through man, it came through Christ. And so also, like, the resurrection will also come through man, that man also being Christ. He conquered the grave, he defeated death, and he resurrected himself. Like, he proved that he is God, he is Christ alone, he is definitely all powerful. And the resurrection of the dead also comes through Christ for us in the end. And that's, of course, when Christ returned, his second coming, like, he's going to resurrect the dead because he resurrected himself. He was able to do this himself. And so I just wanted to share that word with you guys this morning. I thought it was really encouraging. And I mean, if you get nothing else out of this video, my prayer for you is that um, at least you get the fact that God's grace is just not ineffective. It is always effective. It will never return void. And that was the biggest key point for me this morning that I felt just like was super encouraging. So if you get nothing else out of this video, at least get that. Anyway, you guys are awesome. Thanks for sticking with me through this. And if you're watching, if you check this video out, please smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and I'll catch you guys on the flip side. Remember, it's a hot one, so stay cool out there.